The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great episode for us today. We're going to be talking about all things the MLB and baseball with the start of the season quickly around the corner here and spring training in full swing right now. I have a panel of guests here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves for you. Now, guys, I do need your name and the answer to these two questions. And is it, do you like tomatoes? And what time do you get up normally during the week? And Tony, we're going to start with you.
My name is Tony Bogan, newly the high school sports leader for Keon Sports. I do like tomatoes, and in the morning I get up whenever my alarm wakes me up, which is 7:30, and on Fridays and Mondays 8:15.
Okay, we'll mix it up throughout the week. Not bad. But Drew, what about you?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Drew here. Do I like tomatoes by themselves? No, but I do like ketchup. I like sauce. So I don't know if that makes me like tomatoes or not. But if you just give me a tomato, I'm probably not going to eat it. And what time do I get up during the week? I got to be at school by 8, but I get there a little bit early, so I'm up about 6:30.
Okay, decent time. All right. Last but not least, TJ, what about you?
Hey guys, TJ Lett, third grade teacher, but my 1 year old, the only time I get to work out is in the morning. So sometimes it's a 5 a.m. workout, sometimes it's a 6 a.m. workout, but I'm almost exclusively out of bed at 4:30 a.m. So that 7:30 hurts the soul. But
Yeah.
tomatoes aren't the enemy. You know, they're okay on sandwiches. I won't take them off. They're good when you mix them with other things. I'm not gonna just go and just bite into a tomato like an apple, but I don't mind them.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I'm not biting into one, but I'm Italian. I love sauce, so that's in there. Can't and I put them on burgers and whatnot. So yeah, they're all right. I can't complain about them too much. Being a paisan, if I complain about tomatoes, they might kick me out the club for the sauce and everything. So
Here, watch your back now.
yeah, I know they're coming for me. I gotta start saying a couple Hail Marys and we'll be all right here. We'll get through it. But all right, we're gonna talk all things MLB, and we're just gonna jump right into it. Tony, who's your favorite to win the World Series this year?
I gotta say, I know everybody's gonna say, because of the moves they've made, everyone's gonna say that the Dodgers. And I'm tempted to agree. But as we've seen with baseball the past few years, yeah, even though the Dodgers did win it all last year, money can't always buy you a World Series. So I know that it's probably going to be sacrilege saying this as a Guardians fan. I'm going to go with the Seattle Mariners to not only make their first World Series, but win it. Go with the Mariners.
So bold statement, Cotton. Let's see how it pays out for him there. That's a bold stance. But Drew, what about you?
Yeah, like Tony said in baseball, these top heavy teams have so much money, it's hard to compete. You see what the Mets did this offseason. The Yankees are always rolling. The Dodgers are at the top. I'm a Guardians fan as well, and I know they're knocking on the doorstep. They play really well together. Do I think they'll win it? Probably not. So I'll go with my second favorite team, the New York Mets.
The Mets, huh?
Meet the Mets.
All right. TJ, can you save us here, our resident baseball expert here on the?
The Dodgers will be in the World Series, but if it's good for baseball, they won't run multiples in a row, but they'll win 5 of the next 10. I'm a really big fan of Baltimore. I think that they had a shot last year, and those 3 game series are so mentally draining. Those 3 game series, because they're over before you know it. And, they got knocked out in that third game. So I think that Baltimore will break their way through. They got a lot of young guys there. I know they lost Corbin Burns, but they'll have enough behind it to make it through this year. So I think Baltimore will surprise people with just the depth and making it through the playoffs, even though they've had a couple of years of experience with those guys. So those young guys are going to step up.
Yeah, I lean Dodgers mainly just because of the moves they've made. I don't think they'll go back to back. They're definitely going to be in it. But yeah, I'd have to give Baltimore the edge in that one too as well. Everything in me wants the Pirates to just be relevant for once. As a Pirates fan, Paul Skeens can't do it by himself. The man throws junk in heat and just is phenomenal. So he'll probably be a Dodger in a couple years here, knowing how the Pirates work. But I just make the playoffs. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's get a wild card or something and just be relevant again. But yeah, I'd have to either say it's probably gonna be L.A. and Baltimore this year would be my pick, and give Baltimore the edge. And Tony, let's stay with you. But what is the ceiling for the Guardians this year?
Honestly, just like it was last year, pitching and good vibes.
Pitching and good vibes. All right.
Yep.
Drew.
They surprised me last year. I remember saying at this point last season they'd probably be lucky to win 74, 75 games. They surprised me and won 90. So, as long as the pitching can hold up like they did last year, and it helped that the offense actually produced as well, because in order to go far like they did, you need a good offense as well as pitching.
Yeah, I could see that.
And
But Drew, what
Mike,
about you?
Mike, what was the question again? You kind of broke up on my end when you were asking.
Oh, no worries. What's the ceiling for the Guardians this year?
Well, the ceiling is, if you're going based off last year, is ALCS pushing the doorstep for the World Series. You look at the team that they have. There's not a lot of magic in Cleveland. There's a hellhole by the lake with the Browns, but I don't know what it is. You go a mile down the road and it's like there's some magic in Cleveland. They really do a good job of winning games when they really shouldn't be winning games. If you recall that last year ALCS when they beat the Yankees, I know they only beat them one time, but that one time they did beat them, holy crap! It was like you never would even imagine they did it not once but twice. Those home runs like that. So there's something there that there is special. Now I know that kind of runs out in money talks and talent talks, so that's something they don't have to compete with the Yankees and Dodgers and Mets. But if you're a Guardians player, if you're on the Guardians staff, you're looking at each other saying, "Why can't we do what we did last year yet again?"
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they lost much. So,
Yeah, they really did it. They lost that second baseman, but they got some guys back.
Yeah, I think they filled in the right spots. I think they can get over that CLS hump possibly.
You'd hope. You really hope.
But TJ, what about you?
Yeah, the ceiling is, to me, the same as it was as where they made it last year. I don't think they have World Series aspirations in them this year because I think now they have a target on their back. I think a lot of teams took them lightly last year, especially going in the playoffs, especially all of the AL Central. They took the AL Central very lightly, and we snuck up and took some teams down. I just think the Tigers are going to be really competitive this year. I think Kansas City's going to be really competitive this year. I think Boston's going to be really competitive this year in a way where we may not, if we make it to the playoffs, we'll be a wild card team. And if we get in the playoffs, we're going to run into a buzzsaw. We might be matched up with Baltimore. We might be matched up with Boston, where we're going to have a little bit more trouble. But the key here for the Guardians this year is that we're going to be healthy, make it to the deadline. We did that last year. We were relevant in June. Once we were relevant in June, people started to believe, the team started to believe. They're like, you know what? Let's make sure it's not a fluke. Get to June. And then you get to the deadline. And all of a sudden you're still a first place team. It's like, okay, we can see the playoffs in sight. So if they can get to the deadline, or if they can get to June and be as relevant as they were last year or as dominant as they were last year, it might change some things. I just think that now they have a target on their back and more teams will take them seriously. So it'll be a little bit of a tougher road.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you have that success, people do kind of take you a little bit more seriously. But I think at the end of the day, everyone just always has that mindset when they go, it's Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's Cleveland's pro sports. Like, it's just something about them makes other teams kind of slack off when they go up there and they don't take them as seriously as they should. Especially the baseball team, the Browns. I mean, I could do a whole show about the Browns and their bad luck. It's by myself. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Part of me wants to see the Guardians relevant, mainly because I love the movies Major League with Charlie Sheen, and that just makes me want to see them be relevant with that. But it is what it is. It's Cleveland Pro Sports. But TJ, let's stay with you here. And which team do you think has the most to prove this year?
I believe the Mets have the most to prove. You have the signing of Juan Soto. They somehow returned Pete Alonso by leaving him dangling out there. They got very lucky there. I believe they returned Mania, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so they returned some guys, and they have some guys off of injury now. They were a second-half team last year, and a lot of people wrote them out, and they kind of got their swagger back in that second half. So now it's like, okay, we are not a small market. People have high expectations for us. We kind of know the skill level that we're at. It's basically just them saying, okay, we have to find some way to get to facing the Dodgers in the CS again to go and let's have that rematch. But if you go and sign and you spend $700 million on one player and you didn't really lose a whole lot after that, you have to now, put your money where your mouth is really and go and make it happen. So I think the Mets have the biggest, the most to lose here.
Yeah, Soto was definitely huge for the Mets, but let's ask our resident Mets fan here, and Drew. But who do you think, which team has the most to prove this year? Is it your Mets or?
Well, I think everything TJ said is absolutely correct. I think the Mets have all the pressure's on. If I had to pick a team that has a little bit more pressure, about 1% more, it's the team down the road, the New York Yankees, man. They've spent so much money. They've done so many moves, and what is there to show for it? When's the last time they won a World Series? Really? Is it Derek Jeter? I mean, we're talking what, 2009?
09, yeah.
Or 09,
09.
10, yeah, I think it was.
I mean, every year you see this team in the headlines. You see this is the team to beat. They have Judge. They have the Bronx Bombers. All this stuff, and they haven't got it done. And that is for a team like the Mets. They do have they have a lot to prove, but they're kind of starting now. The Yankees have. It's been a long time for this thing to really figure it out, and they haven't done it. And I think if you are a Yankees fan, you're starting to get a little fed up. When is it going to be our turn type deal, And it hasn't been there, and I don't think it's going to be there moving forward. There's too many good teams. There really are.
I think a lot of the league, especially in the AL, have decided, like, hey, why don't we do what the Yankees have been doing for years and open our pocketbooks and spend some money and get some top talent. Everyone except for the Pirates, apparently, have decided that we need to break out the checkbook and sign some players.
Look at the AL East itself. You have Baltimore, who's really good. You have Toronto, who's not the best, but they have some players out there. Boston's always going to be Boston. You got teams that are going to compete with you in that AL East that are not. They're not chumps anymore.
They're not pushovers. No, it's not just New York and Boston running that division. Like it's not. People are ready, and I think the Yankees have just relied on that. Like, let's just spend some money and we'll be in the World Series, and that's what it's always worked. And now it's not, and they don't know what to do. I don't think, because I don't think I've ever seen in a long time, almost coming up on 2 decades, where the Yankees really haven't been that relevant when it comes to the postseason.
Right.
Yep.
And I'd have to agree with you. I was going to go Yankees on this one, and I hate the Yankees. I root for the Red Sox because I hate the Yankees that much. That's pretty much where it's at. But Tony, what about you? Who has the most to prove this year?
I'm going to have to say I have 2 teams that have the most to prove this year. The first I'm going to have to say is Toronto, because they've had a lot of. I like Toronto. They've had a lot of young talent that's come through. You have Bo Bichette, Vladdy Jr. They've got some young talent, but haven't made it. They haven't won any. They haven't been able to advance. They made the playoffs with 89 wins from 21 to 23, having 89, 92, 91 wins, but they haven't put it together. And they think, how long is Vladdy going to stay? How long do you think Vladdy's going to stay before he goes somewhere else before he goes to a LA, goes to a New York, goes to a team that can contend. Because Toronto's the only MLB team in Canada, and they've got a
Right.
fan base that does show up to games.
Yeah.
But you've
Yeah.
got to, you
Mhm.
gotta, although it's nice to win 90 some odd games a year, you gotta have results. I mean, I know the AL East isn't obviously the easiest division, but that means you gotta make things happen. And this second one is gonna kind of be a strange answer, but at this point, this team really, you can't fall off the bottom in this case, the Chicago White Sox. Because you can't have
Wow.
you can't have another 121 loss season. That just can't happen. You gotta, at some point you've gotta trend up. Am I saying that they're gonna win the Central? No. Am I saying they're gonna be 500? No. Am I saying they're even gonna not finish last? No. But you gotta, that last season was just an aberration that was one of the worst seasons I've ever experienced as a baseball fan. And I'm not a fan of the White Sox by any stretch, but I had to kind of feel sad because that's just
Yeah,
that
when you
just
see when you see pictures of the stadium completely empty
Oh,
on like
man.
a Saturday night game, and like
Right.
there's 5 people in the stands, it's like, okay, what do we got to do?
That's
Because
bad for baseball.
that's bad
yeah.
for that's just bad for the sport in general. Because there's so many people that were screaming after the season to sell the team, move the team. The White Sox aren't going to make it in Chicago because of this. We already have a team in Chicago that's actually, putting up wins. We don't need two. And yeah, when that's happening, I mean, I I think if they don't lose 100 games this year, it's a win for them and moving in the right direction. But
Absolutely.
because you lose 121 games. Hell, the Pirates don't even lose 121 games a year, and they try to lose. Like and I know I've been shitting on the Pirates this entire time. I'm a huge Pirates fan, but it's just like I'm hoping somebody from Pittsburgh listens to this show and is like maybe like listens a little bit. Like, hey, let's spend some money. Let's be relevant. Because back in what was it? I think it was 11 or 12 when the Pirates made when they had AJ Burnett and that when they were in the wild card game. Did anybody see what the town of Pittsburgh did for that team when they were there? Like,
Well, just listen to the games
and just listen to it.
Listen to
Listen
them.
to that
It's
place. Like,
unbelievable.
it's
The Cueto call is unbelievable.
it's the best atmosphere for pro sports is Pittsburgh, and I love Pittsburgh sports, and I love the Pirates, and it's just I want to see them when they had the bat signal up on one of the buildings and green lights when Burnett was pitching, and like that's the kind of atmosphere you want for baseball. That is good for the sport, and it's good for everybody around in the town of Pittsburgh, and yeah,
I love LA. I love the Dodgers in a sense of like, listen, they're forcing everybody else's hand, but sometimes you have first pitch and those $10,000 seats in the playoffs behind home plate are empty, waiting for the celebrities and the season ticket holders coming to sit down there. You're not going to see that at small market teams.
No.
Those people are up. You have kids. You have everybody moving. It's unbelievable.
Blue collar men and women that are just there and just want to root on their team, and that is 100% Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And we spoke a little bit about teams moving, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. And TJ will stay with you. What are your thoughts on of the A's moving to Vegas?
I think that maybe it's going to fall on deaf ears, but this is a tone setter for owners. Hopefully, hey, a city cares for a team. People, the fans, that city cares for a team that you invest in. And if you don't, the fans will stop. The fans will say, hey, listen, it's not worth my time because it's not worth the owner's time. The A's ownership gave up and said, you know what, we're just going to be the last place team and be okay with it. And fans don't like being insulted. and they turned their back. They came out and showed it where they had that one fan rebellion where they sold out the stadium just because. And they sold it out in that last year saying, hey, we are all here. We have all these baseball fans. Please give us something to come to the stadium to see. Don't give us AAA and AA guys that you brought up just because we have 9 players on the field. Give us something to cheer for. And I think that moving the team was a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Yeah.
You still and then to double down on it, the owners really spit in the face of the fans because now the A's are spending money. Now they're signing people. Now they're extending contracts. And it's like, listen, that was all your fans were asking for. So I think that there was maybe a little bit of backhand, shadiness where it's like, hey, we just want to get out of Oakland. Let's find a way out. And Vegas is a great spot for, people coming in tourism. But, and being a Cleveland fan, we know what it's like to not spend money. And unfortunately, it's really, really frustrating. But owners need to kind of step up and say, listen, this is your investment. Your fans are your demand, So give us what we need to do, and we'll keep coming, and we'll give the owners millions and millions of dollars as long as you give us a product to watch.
Yeah. I couldn't have said that better myself. I think they're just trying to get everybody out of that Northern California area and move them all to Vegas. Started with the Raiders, and it's happening now. We've got hockey teams. They're bringing pro sports to Vegas. But Drew, what about you? What do you think about the A's move?
Yeah, it seems like Vegas is the place to be right now.
Yeah.
But no, I think TJ hit it right on the head, man. It's a shame because you have a franchise that's been in Oakland for so long, and you see these not new cities, but like the Golden Knights, or like you said, the Raiders are going to Vegas. That's a cool place to be. They're having success. And you know what? The Raiders aren't good. The Golden Knights are okay, but they sell out stadiums. People, if you're a fan of the Oakland A's and you live in Raleigh, North Carolina, you're going to say, all right, let's go to Vegas and watch them, make it a trip out of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't think you're going to see that too much in Oakland. It's Vegas is Vegas, Oakland's Oakland. Vegas is better. Comes down to the situation though. Yeah,
alienating a fan base here.
I know.
Hope there's no listeners in Oakland.
I know, right? But if say it happened to the Guardians, say Cleveland. I mean, can you imagine what the uproar that would happen in Cleveland? It would be. I think every fan would just lay in the stadium until they said no, or we're not going to do this anymore. So I do feel bad for the small markets, but it seems like in 2025 it's the new thing to do. It's just like the transfer portal. Everyone's moving around and trying to get to a better spot. I think these owners are trying to do as well.
Yeah, Tony, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, I don't like the move at all. I still think they should be in Oakland for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to ever call them just the Athletics. I'm going to call them the Oakland Athletics because they should still be in Oakland. I liked seeing their postseason games, especially when they beat Detroit bottom of the ninth in 2012.
Yeah.
I really think in 2020, if they were able to have fans, that stadium when they played against the White Sox would have been rocking.
Yeah.
It's just a major slap in the face, and John Fisher just doesn't care. It's a slap in the face to the people who support Oakland. Oakland won a World Series. Like the city's lost 3 franchises in 5 years. Yes, the Warriors are still in the Bay Area, but they're in San Francisco. They're on the other side. You got the Raiders who are in Vegas. Even the people in Vegas don't want the move. The people in Vegas don't want them there. I mean, I know Vegas is eventually going to get a franchise, rightfully so, but it just seems really, really, really short-sighted. And for those of you who are A's fans, and those of you who are in Oakland and the Bay Area, my heart goes out to you. My heart really, truly does go out to you. And John Fisher is one of the worst owners in baseball. And it's a real slap in the face that they're actually spending money now that they're up in Sacramento.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
yes, they're still in NorCal, but you're playing in a AAA ball.
Yep.
You're not going to get that passion, that
No.
noise, that Section 116, that the soccer type atmosphere that you're going to get up in Sacramento like you would have in Oakland.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it's just I fear the day, and I think baseball and a lot of pro sports are going to this, and I fear the day that there's going to be no more small market teams. It's going to be all large market. Your New Yorks, your LAs, your Chicagos, your Bostons, Miami's. Like you're going to see all of these big market where people want to come to these destinations to see a game, and there's going to be no more Clevelands, no more Oaklands, no more Pittsburghs, none of that, and it's just going to be bad for sports in general. You need these low market teams because you get a different aspect of the game. These guys aren't making the top dollar, the Juan Soto type money, but they're playing their damn hearts out. And fans can see that, and fans want to see that. They want to see the guys that are going to go out there and bust their ass for 9 innings and put a good product on the field. They might lose the game, but they're out there, and it's I think that's where it's heading. That's just what I see happening, and I don't want to see it happen, but I think that's where it's heading.
Fans love the underdog story, right?
Absolutely.
They want the David versus Goliath. They want that team to take down. They want the small team to take down the big team. That's why you have, LA, New York, Boston, whatever you want to call it. They have the biggest enemies. They have the biggest because they just want to see them fall. They want to see them get there, and then they want to see them fall.
Yep.
That's just the adage where you got to have it. You have to have it. And that's so for me, I think of the comparison, right? Ask everybody in the league, ask every fan, really, ask every manager, do you want Juan Soto or do you want Jose Ramirez on a day-to-day basis? On an everyday basis, right?
Give me J-Ram.
And every team will be like, I have a guy that steals 40 bases, hits 40 home runs, and hits 40 doubles. But I have the guy that hits 45 home runs with a shuffle that, can sometimes play some defense. It's like, listen, one guy will sell tickets, one guy will win me a game.
Yep.
Or even if
100%.
Detroit knocked off Cleveland in Game 5, I would have pulled for Detroit to.
It's still fine. But that series, you're looking at that series like, okay, these two teams are two just grinders going at each other. So
yeah, I love to watch those games. Just the teams that are just gonna. It might be a 1-0 victory, but these guys are out there grinding, and it's a good game to watch. But Drew, let's go to you for this one. Will the Yankees or the Mets go further this year?
Ooh, that's a hot topic in this group today. Yankees or the Mets? You know what? And I got a shirt upstairs. My mom's a big Yankees fan, and I know, right? And when she went to New York, this is going back. Her and her friends go to New York. She brought me back a Subway Series shirt that I still have. I thought it was really a pretty cool shirt. Anyways, I think you might see a Subway. Yeah, I think you might see a Subway Series this year. I really do. Both teams are really good. I'm going to go with my Mets, though, to win it all in that situation. So I say the Mets are going to go a little bit further.
I had a feeling that's where you're going. That's why I wanted to go to you first on this one. Tony, what about you?
I'm going to say that I think that I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say the Mets. I'm going to say the Mets.
Yeah, meet the Mets.
Don't just try to hype Drew up right now, Tony.
It's not that I hate the Yankees. I do, but that's not the point. I think the Mets will go further because I think that they can potentially win the NL East. They can. They rode that momentum with the power of God and Grimace on their side to a 6-game series. And the Mets, even though they are based in New York, are an underdog franchise and seen as the little brother of the Yankees.
Yeah.
And the Yankees, Garrett Cole's out for the 2025. Giancarlo Stanton's injured. This is not the same Yankee team that of years past. This isn't the same Yankees team that's going to scare the crap out of you. I
Yeah,
think
I
they'll
don't think they
probably
are.
make playoffs, but I don't see them making a deep run, especially now that Garrett Cole's out for the year.
Yeah, you lose one of your aces pitching. Stanton's hurt. Judge isn't really doing much. I don't know. TJ, go. Let's go to you before, so I can collect myself before this one.
Hot take: Yankees do not make the playoffs.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Oh.
We have Baltimore, who is solid. I
Mhm.
think that whether it's Boston or Toronto, one of them has to step up this year. And we always discount the Rays, and the Rays have always been just kind of there, taking a playoff spot from somebody. But the injury to Cole is massive.
Mhm.
They're going to do everything they can to try to fix it. And let's not forget, Luis Gill is out for a little bit.
Yeah,
He is
right.
not starting the season right now. And that's two major pitchers that they had high hopes for going into the season. Judge does not have the protection that he once had. Rizzo's still on the free agent list, I believe. I mean, that lineup, what is that lineup going to look like? So, I mean, you might have a lot of young guys. You might have some guys that come in and do a couple of good things, but they just don't have the protection. And when you don't have a lineup that has good protection for your top guys, you have to rely on your pitching staff and defense. They do not play defense well, and their pitching staff is hurt. I think they're going to dig themselves a hole too early in the season to come back. And I think the American League is too good. I think the AL Central is going to stick around and just kind of be around that 80. You're going to have three teams at between 85 and 95 wins. I think that, the Mariners had a terrible year, but I think they're going to come back this year. I think that there's just other teams in the AL that aren't going to allow the Yankees to sneak into a wild card team. So I think the Mets are going to at least make the playoffs. So I will say the Mets get further.
I will add this. Outside of Judge and Stanton, nobody in that Yankee lineup scares me. I'm just going to be completely I'm just going to be blunt and put it.
No, I've been screaming for somebody to sign Rizzo. I mean, you got a guy like that that's on the free agent market. It's just
I know a
something's
certain
something's
team
up with him.
potential that
You know,
Yeah, yeah. They have some insider information. Something's got to be wrong where the people
that's
are
the
not touching
only
him.
thing I can
Right.
think of. How do you not sign Rizzo? Like, how do
somebody's
you?
going to sign him.
I mean, somebody's going to sign him, but like, why hasn't he been signed yet? There's
Even
something.
Right.
even like a Guardians where they say, "Hey, we'll take Carlos Santana." You're telling me Rizzo's at least even or maybe a little bit above Carlos Santana when it comes to, hey, I would like a veteran at the corner, somebody that'll play every
Yeah.
day, maybe
Yep.
somebody that could a good contact, a lefty swing, like.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. I think, Pittsburgh, what are you doing?
What's wrong?
What-
How could you just?
What could go wrong?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
you're in
Yep.
Pittsburgh.
What do you lose?
Let's sign Rizzo. Let's get him on a 1-year deal. And,
Yep. He knows the
if it doesn't
Central, he
work
knows
out, we screwed up. Sorry. we're
Or
Pittsburgh.
sign
Like,
with the White Sox. Somebody's got to hit over two bells a line over there. They'll fit right in.
Hey guys, we're running down near the end of the episode here. I do want to get this last question in here because I think it's going to be a good one, and that's: do you think there needs to be a salary cap in baseball? And TJ, I want to start with you.
Salary cap, no. Salary floor, yes. I think that these athletes put their bodies through so much, and we don't even know the travel, the every single day. And, you don't know if you're going to have a 3-year career or a 10-year career. So these players deserve money. And we need to get fans out to the ballpark. So there needs to be a little bit more promoting when it comes to that. Make the game accessible for kids. I'm fully believe on the, if you're 12 and under, get in free. Just get kids in the park. But a salary floor, yes, because you have your Oaklands, you have your whoever it is, small markets. I get it. You're a small market. I don't want to bankrupt you. But what that does is that tells you, hey, we have a product worth watching. Come watch it. Hey, we have this player. This is that $200 million player that we have, $250 million player that we have, so that we don't have just one team saying, yep, we can abuse the system. Give me a floor. Force our owners to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to hoard $100 million. I'm going to invest in my product. So give me a floor. I'm okay with no cap, but give me a floor.
I like that. I never thought of it that way. That's a good point. But Drew, what about you?
Yeah, that's a really good point, TJ. I say yes, there has to be a salary cap. Out of the three sports, MLB, NFL, NBA, NFL is one of the best, most sport that I watch and pay attention to, and it's so interesting how these GMs maneuver, what they can do with money and all that, and it's cool to see how they do that. And MLB is they'll just send them to a $100 million contract for a 10-year, and you know what I mean, like. There's no strategy to it. And I see the strategy in the NFL, which I like. And I think if you brought that to the MLB, it'd be a whole different game. The Yankees and the Guardians would be on the same level floor. And that's something you would never see ever. You know what I mean? So I think it would be cooler to see a salary cap in the MLB.
Okay. Tony.
I think we should see a salary floor. I agree with TJ. And I want minor leaguers to be paid more as well, because not all minor leaguers are going to make it to the show. I mean, even if you don't make it to the show, you should be able to earn a livable wage if you're going to be 28, 29, 30 at double A, triple A. Maybe, maybe that little extra pay might motivate you in case you do get that call at 30, 31, 32 years old. But if you don't pay them, then they've got to make ends meet by doing odd jobs and stuff like that. They should be paid like a fair, livable wage, and especially for what they do, playing ball in the summer, trying to make it to the show.
Yeah, I agree with that. The minor leaguers need paid, mainly because they're putting a better product on the field because they're trying to get to the show. Like, let's pay them. But TJ, I think you just kind of floored the end of the show here with your salary floor idea, because I wasn't even thinking of that. Like, that wasn't even a thought in my mind that could be a thing. Like, let's tell teams you have to spend this much money in salary, at least this much money on your players. I think it would force teams to like you said, let's pay these guys and let's put a good product on the field.
Right. Rizzo is not in free agency if you had to spend money, because it's like, hey, here's the dollars that we have. Who's the best available? Let's go put a bid on the best available, and then, find the next best available, And
if they don't come to you, like, you have to spend that money. You have to spend that amount of money. I don't care if it's 100 million, whatever, 200, whatever it is. You have to spend this amount of money. You spend more power to you if you can. But get them to a certain point. Like, Rizzo's available. Okay. Give him 50, 60 million. Make him an offer. Sure. I mean, I don't know any human being in their right mind. It's like, 50 million? No, thank you.
Nah, I'm good.
I'm cool. I don't know anybody who would turn that down. But but yeah, that's a great way, and I think that's a great cliffhanger to leave everybody left with here, because that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank all my guests, Tony, Drew, and TJ, for joining and getting to talk all things MLB and baseball. I look forward to seeing how the season plays out and how everything happens, and hopefully we can have our predictions come true. But as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.